Baby? Why you all wet?
Welcome to the Perfect Movie Podcast, the podcast where we answer the question, is this a perfect movie? I'm Michael.
I'm Kalen.
And today, we're traveling back. It's 2010, and it's a really bad time to be Leonardo DiCaprio's wife.
Why?
Not in real life, but 2010 is also the year of Inception.
Oh, yeah.
A movie about Leonardo DiCaprio's wife dying in a tragic way.
Yeah, Leonardo DiCaprio's crazed wife. Right?
And before we fully spoil Shutter Island, very similar vibes happening here.
Yes.
Shutter Island is a Martin Scorsese movie. This is one of our last couple movies in Marty May. I think when this movie first came out, it was not as highly reviewed as your typical Scorsese production. I think a lot of people are asking the question, why this movie?
Yeah.
Why make something like this? It's a little like, it feels like it could be like an M. Night movie.
Yeah.
Because there's a big twist at the end. It's a movie about a FBI inspector that comes to the Shutter Island, an island like sanitarium, where we have the very like B-movie cliche style of insane people.
Yeah. Yeah.
On this island, and Leo's here to investigate.
It's like it's a noir film, essentially. Yeah, it's funny because this is probably the most like detached Martin Scorsese film I've ever seen. Like, this just does not feel like him. Even visually. And like, you know how we always talk about, you know, all the actors, and it's just so many different components. This is so like, feels really Hollywood, almost too Hollywood. You know what I mean? It just has that kind of stank on it. You know?
Yeah, it feels like, I just wonder if he wanted a break. It feels like an exercise in genre, like something that would just be fun. Maybe he wanted to make a movie like this for a while and never got around to it. It is very, I think B-movie is kind of the way to describe it.
For sure.
It is not outwardly silly, but it is playing with like cliches and stuff that are very
like
kind of silly.
Dick Tracy almost, or something, you know. Yeah, it's like a Saturday morning cereal, or, you know.
They go on this island and, there's a Nazi scientist, maybe, possibly.
Yeah.
You know, is there sinister experiments happening at this mental health hospital?
Right.
That's a very, like, it's well-trodden territory. And not something you'd necessarily expect from Scorsese.
Sure.
It's, what is that video game? You know what I'm talking about? Where they go in you see everything through the camera and they go in the asylum? Outlast.
Outlast, yeah. I was going to say Arkham Asylum. But
this is kind of the Arkham Asylum. Yeah. And we bashed Leonardo DiCaprio in our Gangs of New York episode. And as we get into the performance test, let's talk about Leo.
Let's do it.
It was the performance of a lifetime!
So I wrote on my Letterboxd review that Leo DiCaprio should only play the criminally insane.
Yeah. Anything that involves screaming maniacally.
He just has this wild intensity, and we're just going to spoil it right off the bat, I think, because we can't really talk about this movie.
It's been around for long enough, you know.
And there's a big twist in Shutter Island. The first time I watched it, I already knew the twist, and it didn't really, I think, affect my enjoyment because I just didn't know exactly how it was going to play out. And then upon rewatching it, it's interesting to kind of watch the dynamics of everything because you kind of watch it in a different light than you would the first time. So the big twist is in Shutter Island. So we're introduced to Leo DiCaprio and Mark Ruffalo, and they're supposed to be FBI agents that are here to investigate a missing person on Shutter Island, the missing prisoner. Turns out, Leo has always been a prisoner on this island. He is criminally insane, and they're basically having like a... Hey.
Is that it?
Speaking
Amber?
of...
Oh my God! Answer the
it's
phone.
It's our cameo that we have like once a year. Vivanco Marquez calling us. Let's see. So we took a little break, but I believe before we started our break, I was talking about the big twist that happens in Shutter Island. So Leo DiCaprio, Mark Ruffalo, they're fake FBI agents because in this island they are doing experimental medicine. No, not the lobotomy kind. Well, they're doing that too.
They're doing that too. Yeah.
But what they decided to do with Leo DiCaprio to unbury his hidden guilt and try to awaken him back to reality is they're doing a big LARP. They're doing a big role play. They're doing a big game of pretend where they let Leonardo DiCaprio's character just pretend that he is an FBI agent investigating a missing person on the island.
Very intricate and well thought out LARP. They had been planning this shit for a long time.
It's quite a twist. It happens in a lighthouse when we see it at the end.
Is it a good twist? I think that's the question.
Well, I think it's fun, at least, in the fact that you can rewatch the movie and see it from a different perspective if you've watched it unspoiled. Like, watching it again, and if we're doing the performance test, I also want to talk about Mark Ruffalo, who is his doctor in reality, but he's pretending to be his partner in this investigation. And if you watch him, he's always walking, like, slightly behind him.
Yeah.
And everything that's going down, he's not like focused on the things in front of him. He's kind of always inspecting what's happening with Leonardo DiCaprio.
Right.
He's looking at his face and his reactions, and you can really just read into that.
He's never the one like asking the heavy questions either.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And they're really just kind of letting him unspool. And the plot's like, it's, if you really think about it, it's convoluted and stupid.
It's very ridiculous.
So it's like whether you had fun or entertainment value along the way. And I'd say I did. This is not stone cold classic, but it is a good, like, I don't know, like Friday night kind of spooky vibes. It's not really a horror movie, but it is like a...
It definitely has horror elements,
Mm-hmm.
I would say. It's more of, I mean, it's a thriller. But you could turn this on during the Halloween time, and I think it would fit pretty nicely.
It's set on an island where there is always a storm. All the time. It's like the freaking King Kong Island.
Fucking Skull Island. Ben Kingsley makes a appearance as Dr. John Cawley. He is the senior psychiatrist at the hospital. He has a great performance. I mean, he just plays like a doctor really well. You know, if you need a doctor, let's call Ben Kingsley. You know,
If you need someone to seem like professional but slightly sinister, you call Ben Kingsley, and very bald.
yeah,
that too.
That seals like the like mischievous kind of stuff.
Or I don't know, if you're making like a superhero movie sequel and you're like, wait, this villain, kind of a racist one, and we don't want to step in that racist trope, and you want to do something completely different. You know who you call? Ben Kingsley.
He's just dark enough.
Is he from the Middle East? That's me looking at the character of the Mandarin and questioning, where is this man from?
He says he's an English actor. I'm just guessing maybe he's like just very tan.
No, he
No,
is
wait, no. His born Krishna Pandit Banji. Banji? I probably butchered
You
that.
nailed
But
that, I'm
sounds
sure.
like maybe he's like from India, where his family originates from
You're
India.
looking at his Wikipedia page and you're just
It
making
says
up.
North Riding of Yorkshire, England.
I think he's English.
Well, he's
I'm-
English, but he's also got a name like Krishna.
Okay.
That's Indian.
All right, man.
Right?
I don't know. And it's a twisty, windy B movie. Kaylin, you recently watched Inside Man.
Yes.
There's a scene in this movie that reminds me of Inside Man. Can you guess what scene it is? It's when they're doing the patient interviews at the desk.
Oh, yeah, and it keeps cutting back and forth.
And it feels a lot like an Inside Man when they're interviewing all the people that were part of the robbery. And that's the part that I think strains the believability of this LARP, that they're getting all these patients to also participate in the LARP.
Right.
Doesn't seem like something that would...
That wouldn't be real. I mean, that would be something that would be like... I mean, that's not a for sure thing, every time. You know what I'm saying? And
it does crumble a little bit. You kind of see things go back and forth where it's like, sometimes it even seems like Leo is stepping out of the reality of, I'm an FBI agent, and his like true self comes out even before the twist.
Well, whenever he's like manic and like twitching, then Actually, I just wanted to point this out. Ben Kingsley, it's actually Sir Ben Kingsley, and he's an appointed knight. Yeah. How the fuck do you become an appointed knight?
It's when you take one knee and they put the sword on
I
the
know
left
that.
side and then the right side.
Thanks, Michael. I know that. But I'm saying, like, what do you have to do to become a knight?
I think he's a knight in the realm of the arts. Because, like, what's his name? Obi-Wan Kenobi, the original Obi-Wan. He was also a knight.
Oh, yeah.
Sir Alec Guinness.
Sir Ian McKellen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think it's just like, I don't know. Just an award.
Sounds like a bullshit title to me.
At this point. I mean, it's cool to have Sir attached to your name.
Yeah,
like
it's pretty badass. Yeah.
Like it's a third part of your name.
Anyways.
This movie also includes the Holocaust. Remember that?
Yes. That's not funny.
It's a couple days ago. Yeah, I bring up the Holocaust and Kalen laughs. Everybody note that for when we cancel him 10 years later.
Sorry.
So there's a part where we keep getting flashbacks to the war, which is reality. The real Leonardo DiCaprio, Andrew Latis, is the name of his real character. He thinks he's FBI agent Teddy whatever. Actually is, and this is probably the cause of some of his psychosis and what happens later with his wife, is experiences a lot of like terrible things in the war. He comes upon a Holocaust camp.
Well, yeah, it's like at the end of the war, and so they're going through these camps and they find like piles of bodies that are like frozen over, and obviously that's like very traumatic for him and everybody involved.
And there's another actor that is a famous serial killer that has a bit part in this movie. Can you guess who that is? He really only has one scene, which is funny.
That's a famous serial killer? That he plays a famous serial killer?
Maybe one of the most famous serial killer movies of all time. He is the serial killer at the end of the mystery. It is Ted Levine who plays Buffalo Bill in in Silence of the Lambs. He's like the warden, and there's just one scene where he takes it, and this is when Leonardo DiCaprio is starting to get like the real story is about to unfold. He brings him to the lighthouse where they have their like final talk. And Ted Levine is in the car, and he's just got a great voice.
Yeah.
Also in the show Monk. Shout out to Monk.
Shout out Monk. It's my mom's favorite show.
Really?
It is. Yeah.
My parents also love Monk. They need to hang out and have a Monk marathon.
Yeah. My mom also loves Lost, so I don't know if she's like a TV show connoisseur or not.
You know, what can you do?
Any other notable performances? I like the guy who plays the guard. Like one of the guards, or like he's like
the main guard that like greets them as they enter the island.
I forget that guy's name, but
character actor, that guy.
Yeah, he just plays a good guard. I don't know.
He's a good guard. I believe that guy. He guards something. Hold on, I just want to pull up because I do want to name the wife. Oh yeah, Michelle Williams plays Dolores, Leonardo DiCaprio's wife, who we mostly see as like a dream or like some sort of psychosis vision.
Yeah.
And then eventually we get a flashback where we realize what put Andrew Latis into this prison.
Yeah.
And part of why he's so detached from reality, which is that his wife, who was herself very mentally ill, he comes home one day, and I guess they have a house next to like a swamp or a pond. And he comes home, and his wife has murdered his 3 children.
Yeah, she like drowns
them,
something like
and
that.
then is like, well, now we just have the house to ourselves and we can play dress up with our little babies.
Yeah.
He snaps, kills her, and that explains why Andrew Latis has made his way to Shutter Island, a place where everybody's a murderer and everybody's insane. Shall we move along to It's an Art, Bro?
Let's do it.
So we talk about sets, effects, lighting.
What's this?
It's an art project.
Okay, I like it. Picasso. Yeah, that way.
Stuff like that.
Off the top, I want to say Insane Asylum's a great setting for movies. I just think it's like a labyrinth, and it's so oppressive. And if you're trying to make a film along the lines of this, I think it's just a great setting to use. It's such a classic setting. Yeah, I think it worked really well. I think the sets were really nice, and they're dingy and gross and kind of like creepy, and it just kind of worked. And I like that setting a lot. Also, it's like an insane asylum in the fucking like late 40s. So I mean, that's probably one of the most heinous places you could ever be.
Yeah, I do love there's the one cell block that is allegedly holds the most dangerous ones, and the 2 guys sneak in there as there's a storm that knocks out all the power. So
Yeah.
I love when all the prisoners are running loose and all the guys are like trying to round them up, and they're
Yeah.
just like, calm down. In the scene where he finds the man that the real Leonardo DiCaprio, who doesn't remember this, he's got a very inconsistent memory, attacked a man a couple weeks ago.
Yeah.
Who ended up in a cell, and he has this like completely just super scarred face.
Yeah.
And then they have a long talk about what's real and what's not real.
Ladies?
That's pretty damn funny.
Your voice.
Don't you recognize it? After all the talks we had? After all the lies you told me?
Let me see your face.
They say I'm theirs now. They say I'll never leave here. Your mansion's about to go out.
Let me see your goddamn face now!
What? So you can lie to me more? This isn't about the truth.
Yes, it is. It's about exposing the truth.
It's about you!
That actor plays Rorschach in Watchmen. Yeah. He's also has a pretty great voice.
And since the power's out, it's just like
It's like a medieval dungeon.
yeah, it's just like metal walkways and concrete walls and bars everywhere.
Yeah. It's
And
fucking gross.
random prisoners that like to do jump scares.
I think the music was pretty effective for the most part.
The soundtrack goes, whoa.
I mean, it's okay. So we need to talk about this though. Inception
Yeah.
was like the biggest fucking thing ever.
This movie came out before Inception.
Which is crazy because it has the same type of vibe and feel to it. I mean, maybe because it's just Leonardo DiCaprio again.
Yeah.
But it almost felt like I thought that this movie came out before or after Inception, and that would have made more sense. But apparently, like you were saying, this came out before. I don't know. That was a big time for Leo. I think that was probably his peak popularity. And I think he was really coming into his acting ability. I think he was really kind of shining in this, kind of going back to the performance test a little bit. But
This is the perfect role for him.
Yeah.
Manic
yeah,
is what he does best.
sweaty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not quite in control. That's what he does best.
But I wanted to just mention I think it was a big time for plot twists, and you in your films you got these big, not cliffhangers, but they're just like the ending is a mind fuck, you know what I mean? And so it got people talking. This is early days of the internet, or social media. And I just remember, I was in high school when this came out, and people were talking about it at school, and it was definitely a big conversation piece as far as movies that we would have seen on the weekend or something, you know.
Yeah, this plot twist was definitely, it's like one of those The Sixth Sense
Yeah.
You know, where it's like, oh, the whole movie means something different once we get to the plot twist.
Yeah.
So,
and I think this movie was like, it seemed like the audience was kind of aimed at teens, like teenagers. I don't think the script was smart enough. You know, it was just like that right amount of like, oh, I can digest this as a teenager and be like mind fucked by it at the end. You know what I mean? Where it's kind of like Inception is the same deal. I believe this movie was a PG-13 upon release. I believe so. I could be wrong, but
well, I think it's rated R, but I might be wrong. Because I think it might be the language.
oh yeah, they do drop some F-bombs in this, and there's some blood.
I don't think Scorsese has hardly ever made a PG-13 movie.
Besides Hugo.
Yeah. His most successful and famous film that everybody's seen.
But I feel like I remember seeing this originally in the theater. And I'm just trying to imagine like how I got in there as a teenager.
You know, it's rated R, but you probably went to the Mall of America.
Probably. That probably explains it. We might have had like somebody's parent buy the tickets for us or something. Yeah.
Might have explained a lot.
Anyways, all that to say, it was like a big time back then for these types of films. And
yeah. As far as like specific shots I enjoyed, when they first arrive on the island and they're speeding down the road in a Jeep, there's like some helicopter shot or something that goes from very far away and pulls right up on their car as the soundtrack is like, we're on Shutter Island. And it's like, while maybe a little hammy, it's sick. Like this movie isn't the most intelligent or exciting or original thing, but it's fun and entertaining. Yeah. Martin Scorsese, entertainment factory. He can just make entertaining movies. Like he could just, you know, he wakes up and he shits entertainment. Like what is that from? What movie is it from where he goes like, "It's easy, fucking easy for me."
Oh my god. Fuck. I know exactly what you're talking about. I just can't fucking put it into words.
Yeah, I can't remember either. But I feel like that's what Martin Scorsese feels about. Like making a movie like this, he's like, this is easy, fucking easy. I can do this in my sleep.
Well, like what you were saying was like, it was just, this seems like something he just kind of whipped up out of nowhere and he was just trying it out, you know, trying his hand at a different genre.
So another great shot that really sticks with me is when we flash back with Leonardo DiCaprio the first time to when they're like tearing apart this death camp and all the papers are just flying everywhere.
Yeah.
And he's slowly like peering in on because he talks about how the captain tried to kill himself, but he didn't do it right. So he's just sitting there bleeding out. Yeah. And we watch Leo just kick away the pistol because the guy's trying to like finish the job. And he's like, no, die slow, bitch.
Yeah.
Great scene, and I just think the visual, especially, it is a great touch to just have the papers flying everywhere. Like, it doesn't make any sense. Yeah. Like, I mean, sure, dudes are rifling through the papers, but it wouldn't look like a, you know, white paper snowfall. Right. The way it does, but it's a really great image that sticks with me. I think
another image that sticks with me is just the scene where he discovers his wife with the kids, and it was just very dark, and it was shot very well, and it was just like putting yourself in his shoes. That's such a terrible fucking thing to come home to, and like it's just awful. And I think Leo, he's really great at conveying that emotion on his face, and just like that confliction that he has, where he loves his wife, but she's obviously so far gone, and you know, yeah.
And while we shitted on Inception when we watched it, I think that scene, and I joked about Leo's dead wives. Ties very closely to the Inception scene where we watch Mal, his wife, jump off the building. Yeah. And he's trying to talk her out of it, and then he watches it happen. Right. It's very same energy.
For sure.
I think a couple all-time, you know, very talented filmmakers both put their finger on, this is what Leo does good.
Is Christopher Nolan not original?
He says, Leo, do crazy thing. Leo, act sad.
Leo, say the N-word.
Don't do it.
Talking to you, Tarantino. You love that word, buddy.
Although we say that, I think this might be the first Scorsese movie we have watched that doesn't drop the N-word at any point.
Yeah, I was impressed.
I was clocking that because it was 1947. Somebody could have said it.
So, I don't think there was enough black people around to say it. You know what I mean?
It was the guy that does the laundry and gave them their new their new clothing. They'd have been like, thanks.
N-bomb.
Sorry. And then Mark Ruffalo was like, it's a LARP.
Oh, we didn't talk about Mark Ruffalo enough. I don't like Mark Ruffalo.
You don't like him in this movie?
I think he's fine. I think he's always been fine. I don't think he's a great actor. Maybe I'm just so tarnished by the Marvel stuff, but I just don't find him interesting. And I think I've mentioned this before, where I just don't ever find him interesting besides his role in that movie Bella with Emma Stone. I thought he was really good in that. I think the one thing that works for him in this movie is
Poor Things. You said something different. You said Bella, but Poor Things.
Yeah, well, Bella is the name of Emma Stone's character. Yeah, Poor Things. But I think he's got a good face for that 1950s guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? And he just kind of conveys that kind of energy. I think he works well visually. I don't think he just comes off really flat whenever he speaks, and that. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe that's just how he talks, but
I don't hate Mark Ruffalo. I thought his energy was good for this because he does like I mentioned before, and I'm sure this was his direction, where he's kind of always playing up. Like when you watch it a second time, he's playing towards Leo, like he's playing his role, and I mean that's true of every actor, but he's the guy that has to do that the most and the hardest.
Yeah, for sure.
Where he's kind of doing this dual role, and you can see like the gears kind of turning behind his head as he's like, well, especially in the scene where he's trying to talk him out of going to the lighthouse, because that's like. When everything's gonna unwind, where the secret will be out.
Yeah,
you can really see the clock turning on that scene.
Shall we move on?
Wait, we gotta do a drip check real quick.
Oh shit,
we forgot drip check.
Fit check, jacket LL Bean, shirt Sonoma, jeans Lee, kicks Skechers, watch Timex, Apple grocery store, peace and love.
I just want to mention the FBI men's little hats.
That was pretty sick.
And their little coats.
Yeah.
Not a lot of drip because most people are in their like asylum robes and garb.
That could be drippy in itself. You know,
I bet
when they had the flood, they were real drippy.
When Kanye gets sent to an asylum, he's going to release a line
of asylum clothing. That would be a pretty sick brand to name, to name your brand Asylum Clothing. That's a good name. Yeah. I mean, the guards dripped out with their guard uniform.
Ben Kingsley, nice suits.
Of course. He's Ben Kingsley. He's Sir Ben Kingsley.
What else would he wear?
He should have worn a suit of armor.
What if
he's a knight?
What if he grew a top knot and wore sunglasses and made threatening messages about blowing up certain things, pointing at Tony Stark? What if he did that?
Osama bin Laden?
Yeah. Osama Ben Kingsley.
Ben Kingsley would play a good Hugo Strange.
Ben Kingsley, is he not in Gods of Egypt? Because he could be,
He might have. I think he was either that or Clash of the Titans. He was in something like that.
I just feel like I can see him with the
fucking
Egyptian.
I think you're right. He was in something. He was in something like that. That was Egyptian related. I don't know. Yeah. I can see that, though.
Should we move on now to, hey, what are you trying to say?
I'm just wondering about the color. It seems kind of dark. I wonder if I could have a lighter color, maybe a light blue or something.
So what are you saying? You saying I don't know colors? I don't know anything about suits? What, I just came off the street? I was some unemployed guy begging for money on the corner, and they threw me in here to try to fit people? You don't think I know anything about suits? Oh, no, let's go that color? Is that what you're saying?
You think the dark then?
Yeah, I think the dark.
Okay.
I think they're trying to say, thank God we don't live in the 1940s anymore.
They're like, look, it's science to lobotomize people.
You have anxiety? Let's lobotomize you.
Lobotomize.
Fun fact, they used to lobotomize women who had pregnancies outside of wedlock.
Oh.
That's like a fun fact. That's a thing.
What did they do to the men? Give them just a solid handshake?
Yeah, they're like, good job.
Thank you.
Good job.
You cheated on your wife.
Well, I think part of it was like I was watching some YouTuber and he was kind of saying this. He was saying that usually the case was probably that it was some rich guy that it was like his maiden or like his woman he was having an affair with, and she would get pregnant, he'd be like, "Oop, I gotta ship this bitch out," you know,
to the lobotomy lab.
It's fucked up.
I don't think this movie's like overrunning with things to say. I mean, there are people with PTSD, but also this is a movie that plays so fast and loose with mental health.
Yeah.
So it's like you can't really read into anything.
They thought LARPing was a good idea. Let's feed into your mental anguish here.
Yeah, watch this paranoia. So should we just let the hate flow through us?
Let's do it.
Good. Use your aggressive feelings, boy. Let the hate flow through you.
First thing you see is bad CG on a boat.
Yeah.
Like really bad.
This is not the best looking Martin Scorsese film.
I think there are parts of this that are really handsome and good looking, and they're like all the green screen stuff on the boat looks terrible.
Terrible. Yeah. Most of the shots from like the island itself, of like the long shots, because I mean they're not going to make they're not going to turn Alcatraz into their set. You know what I mean? Some of that looks pretty bad, a little pretty dated. So I wanted to talk about this a little bit. I was kind of laughing at the giant exposition dump at the end with our Dr. Kingsley and Leo. I just thought it was just hilarious. They had like a little chart for him and everything.
No, my note is when Ben Kingsley talks about anagrams.
He was like, "Look at this," and then he pulls this fucking sheet off of this whiteboard.
That's why he couldn't go to the lighthouse, because all his notes were in there. He was like, he's gonna find the giant paper pad with the plot on it. You can't go in there, Leo. It's not time yet.
And then I laughed when Mark Ruffalo just walks in at the perfect moment. And he's like, "Hey, boss." And you're just like, "Come on, man. You're just fucking with this guy at this point. Just give him the spiel, you know?" I kind of like appreciate that though. Like, thank you for not making me work for this, you know? Thank you for just like giving me all the answers right away. You don't get that too often. So I was like, fuck it.
Cheesy may not be the word. It's pulpy. It's a little tongue in cheek. It's a little like so leaning on the like noir mystery things as like a Sin City, where it's like it's over the top, but you can kind of forgive it for doing all that.
Yeah.
Because it's doing it knowingly. So when he comes in, he's like, sorry to hear this, sport. It was me the whole time. You're Doc. Don't you know me?
It's like Scooby-Doo.
Yeah. You pull the bag off the head.
And I would have gotten away with it, too.
If it wasn't for that meddling lady that lives in a cave.
Was that lady real?
I think so.
Was she real? I don't think so, because I think it was part of Leo's imagination.
Well, then how does she have so many important details about the plot?
Because he was hallucinating, obviously.
She says, "You're a prisoner number 69 or 67 or whatever it was."
Number 69.
And he goes, "Ugh." Does a little like circle finger thing.
Winks at the camera.
That's a sex joke.
Yeah, I thought that was dumb. I thought that whole scene was stupid. I kind of liked it though. Like, it wasn't something that I like absolutely hated. It was just so dumb. But Leo's accents are always bad, except for when he does a Southern accent.
Does he have an accent?
He has a Boston accent again with Leo, and because he did a Boston accent before in The Departed.
Yeah,
and I think he did it better in that movie.
Yeah, because he was like really from Boston. I don't know where he got his Boston accent, because I don't know where the real Leo's character is actually
he
from.
was like, I heard it real well when he was like, "I'm a marshal.
Yeah,
I'm a U.S. marshal," and you're like, "Bro, like, where are you from, bro?" And then it's interesting.
We are duly appointed U.S. Marshals. This is our jurisdiction.
And then he just talks normally for the rest of the movie.
I was gonna say, I forgot he has an accent. Yeah. Is that Leo's trick? I think we learned this from Gangs of New York, because you just have an accent for like your first 2 scenes.
And the movie is so long that you just forget about it. It's fine. It's fine. I'm not hating on it. I think he had a really good performance. I'll give him that. I think it was a good performance. I think it kind of leads into like the Leo that we see today, where it's like he's more seasoned and he's not a 22-year-old little pussy. Mm-hmm. And
this is not a let the hate, but I'm wondering where you landed on this, because there's a certain line at the end of this movie. We're talking about Scorsese and his ambiguous endings. So they're basically like, this is our final attempt before we have to lobotomize you, this big LARP that we've done.
Yeah.
And they're like, if you don't come out of your psychosis and like engage with reality, then we're going to lobotomize you. this is your last chance. And so we go on to the next day, and Leo's like set exactly back to, step A.
Yeah.
It seems like he's completely gone backwards overnight. And then he has this line, which is the last thing he says to Mark Ruffalo before he gets taken off to lobotomize. And he's like, what do you think would be better? Or what do you think is worse, to die a hero or live as a monster?
Yeah.
And then he walks away to the lobotomy chambers.
So it kind of seems like he was putting on an act for that last scene, and he was kind of coming to terms, and he was like, I'd rather be brain dead than live with this kind of thing.
Yeah. And I appreciated that turn. I appreciated that button on it.
It's a great ending.
It is a really great ending. Yeah. There's a lot of movies that I think might have just ended at the big ending and assumed that he was going to go the electric chair or the other way.
Yeah.
But I like the way that they reveal it, because you do spend the ending being like, oh, fuck, this guy again.
Yeah. Well, especially after you see what happened with his wife. I mean, you sympathize with this character.
Mm-hmm.
And you know that it's like, it's not, I mean, especially also like he witnessed all that stuff during the Holocaust. It was like, I mean,
I would have killed his wife too.
Yeah, she was a crazy bitch.
He just murdered all his children and wanted to hang out. Like, maybe not the way to handle it, but also, can you blame him?
No, I mean, especially, it's, like I said again, like you sympathize and you're like, fuck, yeah, that's too bad, buddy. I sympathize with him more than I sympathize with Shawshank Redemption's character.
Because he's just Jesus. He's just the best guy ever.
Yeah.
And he apparently didn't actually kill his wife.
Yeah. I don't know.
Call back to like our third episode.
Seriously though, yeah. Would you recommend Shutter Island?
Yeah, Shutter Island is like, if I want a spooky's maybe not the word, but a thriller that trends towards horror.
Yeah.
It's an enjoyable watch. I want to say this had pretty negative reviews. Rotten Tomatoes, if you look at it now, it's positive, but lots of those reviews have been posted in the time in between.
Yeah, it's like sitting at a 60%.
Which is low for a Scorsese movie.
For sure.
Killers of the Flower Moon had like 94% or something, like some crazy like that.
Yeah.
But I think there was a lot of people just being like, this is the movie.
I want to mention the budget. The budget was set at $80 million. It grossed box office $294.8 million. Pretty good return. But that original budget is pretty low, especially for a Scorsese film. And I think that kind of shows a little bit. Again, I think that's kind of leading into what we were saying before, where it's like, this seems like something, I don't know why he made this. Maybe it was like a script that he had for a long time, and he was kind of just sitting on it, and he was just like, fuck it, I need to drop something this year. Let's do it.
Hold on, Leo. Got him on the bad phone.
Put the signal up, and it's just like a underage girl.
Yeah, he gets out of bed with his 19-year-old. Yeah, Marty? We talked about Jerry Seinfeld. Before we go on to say whether or not this is a perfect movie, we talked about Jerry Seinfeld a little bit.
Yeah, we did.
And we didn't mention his 17-year-old girlfriend that he had during the height of his Seinfeld fame.
No way.
True fact.
Wow.
So let's just mention that again, just in case you somehow don't remember that Jerry Seinfeld had a 17-year-old girlfriend when he was like 33.
He also made the Bee Movie. I don't know what's worse.
I don't know. Now that you showed me that Ray Liotta clip,
that's pretty great, right?
I think it might be low-key a classic.
I just laugh at the scene where the lawyer is like, "Are you her bed bug?" And he's got that like southern drawl or whatever.
Hey, Kellen, what did you think of Kramer's stand-up set at the Laugh Factory?
I thought he killed
his career.
Yeah.
Okay, we're off topic. Let's move on to ask our final question. Is this a perfect movie?
You lost a baby brother. Perfect in every way. I had a baby brother. I had a little baby brother. And he was perfect. Perfect in every way.
No, it's good fun.
Yeah.
It's recommendable.
I still think it's a great Halloween flick. Maybe it's got like a nice like fall like dreary fall or rainy day. You
Okay,
know?
set the scene. Thunder's rolling in.
Yeah.
A light rain starts. You light a candle. You turn on your TV. You turn off all the lights. You turn on Shutter Island, and it's like...
I thought you were going to say you put on Red Tails.
Oh, I thought you were going to say... I was responding before I caught what you said. That's a historical... It's an important part of history, Kalen.
It is. It is.
And did you know that George Lucas, he was the first person to ever do an all-black film?
I've heard. And I appreciate it. I, for one, appreciate him for
He'll
that.
tell you himself.
Well, I haven't directed a movie since then.
I know that.
Producing, I don't know. I was sort of ahead of my time with Red Tails. An all-black film.
It's good, not great, but we like it.
Yeah, yeah. And if you're a Leo DiCaprio fan and you want to go through his flicks, I think this is one of the ones that, like, you got to watch if you're a Leo fan. You know what I mean?
Yeah, you can hit this before you get down to, like, Blood Diamond.
Yeah, I forgot about that one. Yeah.
I'm trying to think of a really bad DiCaprio movie. I don't know if there's a lot.
I can't think of anything outside of his, like, really pop. I mean, are they all just really popular?
Yeah. Before you get to Inception.
Yeah.
I recommend this over Inception.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I think we shitted on Inception.
But,
we did
Kalen,
not like
have
Inception.
you considered When the City Goes Upside Down?
I mean, that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Inception's fine. Okay. Next week, next episode, we're going to wrap up Martin Scorsese May. We're going to do Silence, a Spider-Man 2 sequel.
I thought you were going to say a Star Wars sequel because it's Liam Neeson dressed as a Jedi.
Or did you mean Adam Driver dressed as a monk?
Oh, my God. Everything goes back to Star Wars.
Andrew Garfield. Hey, he looks through the portal. Is that Zendaya?
No, it's Andrew Garfield.
You know him as Spider-Man. He's the one where Gwen Stacy died.
Yes, with the little hand, with the little spiderweb hand. We need to find the guy who thought that was a good idea.
Wait, it'll be really deep. That way you know he's reaching out for her,
Can I say something before we get into Silence next
But
week?
first we have to deal with the Hobgoblin.
Mr. What's-his-face, Chronicle guy.
Chronicle boy?
Yeah.
He thought Dane DeHaan, he thought he was going to have a career. No, he's 18th build in Oppenheimer.
That guy always looks like he can't see very well. He's always squinting.
Dane DeHaan?
Yeah, somebody get him some glasses, please.
He looks like he could have used like a Neutrogena like 14 years ago.
Yes. I was gonna say before cause I just spoilers for Silence. There's this what Inquisitor guy.
Yeah.
That makes me laugh.
Oh yeah.
He's great.
Yeah,
I don't want to be like I don't want to get too crazy with his accent, but it's pretty fucking funny.
No, you're gonna have to do an impression.
I gotta watch it again and like get this part down right. But spoilers.
Speaking of
Silence.
things that'll get you canceled.
Yeah. I have a list of things that are going to get me canceled. I'm just trying to check everything off, see how far I can take it, but we'll see.
Well, check mark today, laughing at the Holocaust.
That was like a nerd. I don't know. You know how sometimes you when you're uncomfortable, you just laugh.
Yeah,
that was that.
That's the kind of one of the keys of our friendship is I put Kalen in that position, and
you also just the way you say things. Like you didn't have to say the Holocaust like that. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Kalen, I'm sorry you can't deal with the facts.
Well, until next time.
You know who thinks the Holocaust is fake? Elon Musk. Bye.
Elon Musk, the CEO of Tesla and the owner of X, paid a visit to Auschwitz alongside Ben Shapiro, the prominent media personality. This is part of Musk's attempt to demonstrate that he is not an anti-Semite, despite allegations that he harbors anti-Semitic views.